Hi everyone, it's Diana. Welcome back to my channel. I haven't really done a sit down video yet, but I know it's been long overdue. I always get the question on how I travel or what I do for traveling, especially when I do it so frequently. So today's video is basically going to go over on how I plan my trips and how I find great deals on my flights, especially international, because there is like a whole idea that traveling is very expensive, which to an extent, yes. But if you think about the things that you're spending on day to day, that also can be expensive. So continue watching if you want to know tips and tricks on how to travel on a budget. So I'll be going over some apps that I currently use for when I travel. A lot of them are self-explanatory, but I'm still going to be inserting clips on how I use them. So the first one's going to be Skyscanner. It's actually my top #1 app that I use right now to find cheap flights. It's really great in the way where you're able to kind of take a glimpse at what your pricing is going to be. The key thing to finding great prices is flexible dates. And I'll go into detail in the clip so you guys can see that. Next one is Hopper. Hopper is a really good one to see the predictions. It gives you predictions on whether it's going to go up or if it's going to go down price-wise. It's not an app. At least I don't think it is because I just go on the website, but I use Google Flights as well. Google Flights is really good because it shows you if you leave on a certain day, the price will be when you come back type of thing. The next app is going to be Airbnb. Obviously, everyone should know Airbnb is basically how to find rooms, shared places, or full apartments, condos, homes to rent out. I also use booking.com, especially because with booking.com, if you book places on the app, you're going to become a Genius member to where you get 10% off and then you get different offers and stuff. So sometimes I actually look on Airbnb and then I look on booking.com because I like to weigh out my options. Another great one I love is Hostel World. So what I do is I find cheap hostels. The difference between a hostel and a hotel is basically a hostel is like a shared space, but the hostel is really affordable place to stay at, especially if it's kind of like a solo trip. My next app that I want to talk about is Culture Trip. I love it. Culture Trip is such an amazing app. You literally can just put in a country that you're visiting or a city that you're visiting, and it'll give you like to-dos or advice. And I do a lot of layover trips to where I don't stay in the airport for a long time. So what I do is I figure out, okay, if I have this many hours, what can I get done in there? Mobile passport, that is mainly used for when you're coming back to the US. Mobile passport is such a genius way to cut lines. You will still have to fill out the paperwork from what I'm aware of. You can even do it on the plane. You take a picture of yourself, make sure all the green's pretty much a go, and you let them know where you're coming in on the US. So for example, I've used Miami a lot, or SF, coming back from international flight. There's gonna be a mobile passport line specifically, and then there's gonna be just like US passport holder. Most of the time, I'm literally like the first 5 people in line. Sometimes it's just one person. So I always recommend people to use that app because it just kind of kills time. So you'll see in my apps that I also have like a little part where it says like Fijian passport. I do have a friend who's Fijian, and that is basically a list of countries that she's able to get into without having to worry about asking for a visa. So make sure that you guys are aware of what places we're able to go to. US passport is pretty much really a huge variety of countries that you're able to visit without requesting a visa. Majority of them could be like 30 days, 90 days. Okay, so now kind of going through my process. My process is very long. How long does it take for me to actually like plan a trip? It takes me months. depending on where to. If I've been there plenty of times, it's kind of like easy go. And if I'm aware and if I've like previously have done research, it's pretty much easy for me to kind of just, okay, get it and go. So the first thing I do is I figure out when I'm going. If I plan it for my spring break or I plan it for a summer trip, then I'll go into Skyscanner and I'll find what are the cheapest places to travel during that time. And I'll go ahead and insert a clip right now for that.
You can actually start off by Googling what are the cheap places to travel to in the month that you want to travel to. So we're going to try June. Now from here, we're going to go to Skyscanner. This is what Skyscanner is going to look like. It has flights, hotels, and car rentals available for you to view. However, we are going to explore. Go ahead and click everywhere. Instead of anytime, you're going to change it to the month that you want to. So we're going to pick June since we already searched it up. Now this list will show you from cheapest to higher in cost. Let's do Spain. And then also cheapest to highest in cities. So Barcelona is going to be the cheapest. It's obviously not ideal to go just for 2 days. So you can either kind of fluctuate dates over here. But instead we're going to go to chart and then you can see what other day you can leave. Sometimes you just kind of have to play with the dates here. Yeah, so 4 to 11 would be good. That's exactly a week. Now you just have to wait for it to load. Okay, so now that it's loaded, we're going to go ahead and check out the first 3. The first one, all right, so as you can see on the way there, you'll have a 10-hour layover in Lisbon, Portugal, and then on the way back home, you'll only have a 3-hour layover. So if you're someone who doesn't like long layovers or you're too afraid to leave the airport, this is probably not going to be for you. Let's check out the next one. This one's going for $4.48, and you have a 2-hour layover on the way to Barcelona and then a 3-hour layover on the way back home. So that's not too bad. Pretty short layovers, can't leave the airport. So let's check out the third one. The third one says that there's a nonstop flight on the way back home. That's actually awesome. And on the way there, you have a 10-hour layover in Portugal. I would actually honestly book this flight because it is going for $476. I get to visit another country on my way to Barcelona, and then on the way back, I don't have to worry about stopping at all. So if you would want to do this, you would go to continue booking, and now it's going to give you the prices based off of what website.
So I always start off with Skyscanner and then I'll hop over to Hopper. No pun intended. I basically figure out, okay, is the price range still the same or is it showing a cheaper price? Lately, Hopper has been a little bit on point with pricing, or it's been a little bit more. So after that, that's when I go into Google Flights. I'll go into Google Flights. I'll put the destination that I had put on Skyscanner or that I found. I put kind of like the same dates that I found as well. And that'll give me the price point as well. That's why I don't stick with just one and I figure out, okay, this is what I'm paying for. That's the cheapest one. No, I literally take my time. And sometimes if it is cheap that day, I'll still wait a week and figure out, okay, what about now? Like, did it go up? Did it go down? It always fluctuates. So sometimes that's where you kind of have to pick your poison. For example, when I was planning a trip to Colombia with my friend, we found a price for $427 or something, but we necessarily weren't ready fully to book yet. It was more so just like looking at pricing and stuff. And then next thing you know, when we booked it, we actually booked it for like $490 something, which is still not bad for a Colombia trip. But it was still like, just knowing that I saw a cheaper price, I was kind of bummed out. But that's just me trying to ball on a budget. So now I'll put, the flight aside and I'll figure out, okay, now I know that's the cheapest place to travel during that time. Now, what about staying there? So I'll go on to Hostel World, or I'll go on to booking.com, Airbnb, and I'll basically see like, what is the price range a night for where I'm staying at? Okay, so now some tips that I wanted to add in. So hostels, they do have a lot of it's more like bunking. I definitely recommend a hostel. You get to meet new friends. I'm a very social person. I'm really outgoing. I love meeting new people. So for me, it's not hard to kind of like conversate with a stranger. For some people that might be, and it might be a little bit more uncomfortable. So maybe even doing a hostel, but they might have private rooms. Airbnb in Canada, and we basically rented out this room inside of a mansion, and it was about like $50 per person. And it was across the street from the bus stop to get us to downtown Vancouver. And so always keep an eye out on that too. Public transportation if you're not driving there, or how to get around, how much cabs are. If you are from Sacramento, leaving from Sacramento International Airport is actually more expensive than leaving from San Francisco. A lot of the prices are jumped up like $200, $300. That's why I always research if I'm leaving from Sacramento or if I'm leaving from San Francisco. If you are able to leave from San Francisco, find someone to drop you off and pick you up, or if you want to leave your car there. Baggage. If you can travel with just a carry-on, use up the space. Another thing too, when I travel lightly, unless I'm staying for a long time, obviously. Everyone will get a personal item and then a carry-on, depending on the airline. For the personal item, I get away with taking a big like Victoria's Secret bag or a backpack with a lot of pockets. So some people say, oh, you have to book so early and this and that, you'll get the cheapest price, or oh, you have to book like 3 weeks before you leave. And it honestly can't say it's true or not, because with me, it's kind of been different every single time in every country I've been to. Okay, so that is my overall how-to video. It might be everywhere because I've never done this before, so bear with me. I might update this later, but for now, this is what I got. Hit me up on Instagram at Diana Michelle. She's here. How do I put this? Actually, cut that out. I don't know who that is. Okay, so what do I do after that? I figure out where. Hit me up if you want the secret, if you guys want to leave from San Francisco.